And next up, we have the thrilling book, No Time for Goodbye by Linwood Barclay. So guys, what did you think of this one?
I carried it around with me. And I don't do that with books. I'm quite happy to put them down.
So it was one of those
Yeah,
then?
I couldn't put it down. I think I read that like in hours.
Obviously, it starts off with this girl like being a bit of a rebellious teenager. She's like 14 years old. She's with her rebellious boyfriend and they're like getting drunk, and then the dad drags her home and she has this massive fight and slams her door. She wakes up the next day, no one's there. So when she gets older, all her life she thinks, did they leave me behind because I was awful?
Imagine if that
or
happened.
did they die?
Horrible.
And you're like, did they get murdered in some awful thing? So all her life she's thinking, what happened? And each answer's equally as horrible. Like, did they just leave me? You know, they didn't like me, they didn't love me,
or, you know,
because of all of I'm a troublemaker, or is it?
Yeah,
the
there's
other
so
one?
many ways to do it as well. Like, you know, she talks about maybe they were protecting her by leaving her behind, but then in 20 years, why couldn't they have, you know, reached out to her? It would be horrible.
It's interesting though, because it also focuses on the relationship between the husband, who doesn't know, like, you know, we never knew her family, but this is kind of eating away at their marriage because she needs the answer and she's not, you know, her own daughter, she's very protective of, she won't let her, you know, out of the sight, and they're not really having a married life together. He's not seen her as a bright, bubbly person because when he met her, she's just had this whole cloud around her, like, I've not got a family.
God, it would just be a horrible way to live your life, really.
Completely.
And so it was very enthralling to read about.
And I never knew which way it was going. Like, I'd read something and I'd think something else, and I never, as you say, the ending I didn't expect.
And those interludes, obviously, that you're talking about, where they have this conversation going, and it was just really bizarre. You're thinking, how are these two people connected? Are they the parents who run away?
Yeah, it's,
you're like, is that what it is?
Like,
but then, you know, that's not actually what it is.
No, but it might be that.
But it might be what it is, but you just don't kind of know, and it's like, it's frustrating.
Sorry, I thought it was really interesting that it's basically from the husband's point of view, because it shows him, like, obviously he loves her and wants to support her, but he also doesn't know what happened. So, you know, at times he kind of begins to doubt her, and then he, you know, thinks about how awful that is. And so you don't, you know, it's not, if it were in her point of view, then you would at least know it was not some things, but you know nothing. So it's really interesting. My only complaint with the book is that, I mean, it was very thrilling, but it wasn't incredibly written. So, like, I found myself being like, oh, I just wish it would end so I know what would happen.
You feel a bit tortured, don't you?
Yeah, I'm like, I just want to,
that.
literally, at times I was like, maybe I can just skip to the end and read the last chapter and then go back. But I didn't do.
Maybe that makes him a good writer, because you're just dying to know as much as her, because you feel that need, that raw need to just have the answer. I mean, the woman won't even leave the area where she grew up. She won't move away because she believes that maybe they'll come back. I mean, that's how it's all part of her life, you know, you're waiting to find out this answer, and obviously she does get the answer. And it's not what we'd ever expect. I mean, I didn't see it coming. The author actually says he loves writing about books about ordinary people who have extraordinary things happen to them. And this was kind of like one of the most I mean, imagine if that ever happened to any of us. It'd be like
horrible.
And I think he does it really, really well. And I thought he put the emotion into it, a bit like Before I Go to Sleep. Like, you really feel for all the characters, the husband, the main character.
These books are kind of in now, aren't they? This genre, because I think a lot of these types of books are following that similar type of route. Like another book I read.
I have a real thirst for this type of book. Like, I want to try and find more of these books. You actually recommended this book, because after Before I Go to Sleep, I was looking for another one. I was like, I have to get one. And
well, if you want good books, come my way.
Oh, God. The one who loves the shopaholic books. Yeah.
That's my guilty pleasure.
So what would you rate this out of 10?
I'd give it a 7, but I'm gonna bust it up to 7.5 because I really love that it's set in America, but they changed little things to make it like British. So as an American living in Britain, I was really amused that they ate Girl Guide cookies, as opposed to Girl Scout cookies, but they still went to 7-Eleven. In my mind, it was hilarious. 7.5. 7.5.
I would give it a 9. I thought it was good, not as good as Before I Go to Sleep, but good.
Yeah.
10 for me, because I loved everything about it, and the fact that it gripped me and I couldn't put it down was pretty rare for a book, so 10.
Oh, that's good. I give it a 9. I think I like Before I Go to Sleep a little bit more. That's why I gave it a 10. So I'll give this a 9. So that's No Time for Goodbye with Linwood Barclay. That's all we have time for this week. See you next week.